They were building an airport in our town, so people from the relocation office went door to door, measuring houses and negotiating compensation. But I waited for 3 months, and no one ever knocked on my door. Later, I found out that on the planning map, my plot of land had been deliberately drawn outside the red line. So, I stormed off to the town government office. But the answer I got was, that's just how it was planned. Nothing can be done. When my neighbor saw this, he mocked me. Well, isn't this great? You can live in that old wreck for the rest of your life. I didn't say a word. Instead, I took out all the savings I'd gathered over half a lifetime and got a loan to scrape together 10 million. 6 months later, my old house had become a 10-story building with a sign that read Cloud Hotel. The no entry for non-guests sign at the entrance became the most eye-catching sight at the entire airport. As soon as the news about the airport spread, our town, called Anning Town, was never peaceful again. Suddenly, compensation money, resettlement housing, and a new future became the only things people in town talked about. White vans with relocation office printed on them drove back and forth on the town's dirt roads, with staff members holding measuring tapes and notepads. They went door to door, measuring, registering, and negotiating. My name is Fu Qing. My home is on the easternmost edge of town, an old 2-story house that's been around for years. After my parents passed away, I was the only one living here. On the first day, a relocation office van drove right past my house. It didn't stop. I figured they must be starting from the west side of town, and it just wasn't my turn yet. In the first week, my neighbors, the Lee family, reached an agreement. I heard they got a hefty sum of money. He was grinning from ear to ear. Whenever he saw me, he'd ask loudly, "Hey Ching, your turn must be coming up soon, right?" I'd just smile and nod. The first month, the residents on the east side also started signing their agreements one by one. Soon, red Demolished characters were painted on the walls all over town. But my house was the only one whose walls remained clean and gray. I started to panic. Another 2 months passed, and most of the families in town had already moved out. Seeing this, a bad feeling started to spread through me. So, I went to the town government office. I found the town mayor, Jung Da-chin. He was busy on the phone. When he saw me push the door open, he just glanced up, annoyed. "What is it?" I stepped forward and asked. "Mayor Jung, I'd like to ask about the airport relocation. Why wasn't my family included?" Hearing this, Jung Da-chin slowly put down the phone. He took a huge planning map out of his drawer and pointed. "See for yourself." I leaned in to look. My heart sank. I saw the red demolition line on the map. It was like a sharp blade, drawn tightly along the edge of my property's wall. My little house was like a forgotten island, cast out all alone beyond the red line. I stared at that red line, my voice trembling a little. What is this? Was there a mistake?" Jung Da-chin's tone was ice cold, without a trace of warmth. "There's no mistake. This is how it was planned. There's nothing we can do about it." I couldn't help but press him. "But why is the whole town being demolished? Why was our house the only one left out?" Jung Da-chin's voice suddenly grew louder, filled with the unquestionable authority of a government official. "I told you, this was the decision of the planning experts. What can I do about it? Now, that's enough. I have a meeting. You can go back now." After saying that, he walked straight out of the office. The moment I stepped through my front door, I ran right into my neighbor, Lee. He was directing the movers as they loaded furniture onto a truck, piece by piece. When he saw how devastated I looked, a gloating smile crept across his face. He spoke up and asked, "So, Ching, did you go ask?" I didn't say a word. Seeing my silence, he sneered, "See, what did I tell you? Your house is in a tough spot. They're building an airport, you know. Your place is right on the perimeter, it's not really in the way of anything. If they tore it down, they'd have to compensate you. How is that a good deal for them?" Just then, another neighbor came over and added mockingly, "Well, this is just perfect. Soon you'll be the only one left in the entire town. You can spend the rest of your life guarding this broken down house, surrounded by an airport. The noise alone will drive you crazy." Auntie Lee laughed, even more delighted. She chimed in, "Isn't that the truth? By the time we're all living in new high-rises in the city, Ching will still be here smelling airplane exhaust." Their piercing laughter stabbed my ears like needles. But I didn't argue with them. I just slowly raised my head, quietly looking at the little house I'd grown up in. Finally, the moving truck rumbled away. I stood on the empty street, took out my phone, and made a call. "Hello, Sue Wan? It's me, Fu Qing." Sue Wan's gentle voice came through the phone. She asked, puzzled, Ching, what made you decide to call me?" I paused for a moment, then said, "I wanted to ask for your advice about a loan." Sue Wan was my best friend, we grew up together. She studied finance in college and is now a relationship manager at a bank in the city. Sue Wan asked in surprise, "A loan, Ching? Did something happen?" I answered in a calm voice. "No, it's nothing. I want to renovate the old family home." Sue Wan was even more confused and pressed on. "Renovate it? But I heard they're building an airport in your town. Isn't everything getting demolished?" I briefly explained the situation. "Our house isn't within the demolition zone." After a moment of silence on the other end, Sue Wan's voice was laced with a hint of anger. "Aren't they just bullying you? How could the plans be that coincidental? That they just happened to go around your one house?" I said calmly, "Whether it's a coincidence or not doesn't matter anymore." Sue Wan pressed, So what's your plan? Are you just going to stay and watch over that old house? I looked out the window at the empty land and answered, word by word. No, I'm going to tear it down and rebuild. Hearing this, Su-won was silent for a long time, then said, Ah Ching. That's not a small amount of money. I answered firmly, I've made up my mind. How much do you need? I have 200,000 in savings, from what my parents left me and what I've saved from work all these years. I want to get a loan for another 300,000, for a total of 500,000. On the other end of the line, Su-won gasped when she heard that number. 500,000? Ah Ching, are you out of your mind? You're just rebuilding your own house. Do you really need that much money? I'm not building an ordinary house. My sights are set on the vast outline of the planned airport in the distance. In the future, that place will be bustling with travelers and business people. And my house is the closest one to the airport, and will be the only private building there. I asked Su-won, what do you think the prospects are for opening a hotel? Right next to the new airport in the future? Hearing this, Su-won froze on the spot. She has always been a smart person, so she understood my intentions in an instant. She exclaimed, a hotel? You want to open a hotel, Ah Ching? You're taking way too big of a step. Do you even know how to run a business? Do you have any connections? The risk is too great. Faced with her concerns, I asked her in return. What's riskier, holding on to a dilapidated house that nobody wants, and waiting for it to slowly rot away amidst the noise of airplanes? Which is scarier? After hearing what I said, Su-won spoke with a worried look on her face. But 300,000 is not a small sum. Using your old house as collateral, the appraisal value might not be enough, and you don't have proof of income either. Before she could finish, I interrupted her. I know, that's why I came to you. You're the professional, help me see if there are any options. To be honest, I knew I was putting her in a difficult position, but I had no other choice. Because this was the only chance I could grab to change my destiny. Su-won let out a long sigh and said, Ah Ching. You're still the same as always. You stay quiet, but when you open your mouth, you say something that could scare a person to death. How about this? Bring your property deed and your documents to the city to find me tomorrow. I'll help you organize everything and see what channels we can go through. I can't make any promises, but I will do my best. Hearing this, I said gratefully, thank you, Su-won. To lighten the mood, she made a joke. Don't thank me yet, when your hotel is up and running. Just save a presidential suite for me, free for life. To which, I replied very seriously. Okay, it's a deal. So, the next day at the crack of dawn, I carried all my hopes with me. And squeezed onto the first bus to the city. As soon as we met, Su-won was already scribbling all over my documents. Making countless phone calls and taking me to several different departments. The bank's loan officers, upon seeing my property deed that was zoned outside the red line, all had looks of disbelief on their faces. From their perspective, giving a loan to an isolated island surrounded by an airport was ridiculously risky. Because of this, I explained my business plan over and over again. But they just looked at this calm, and even somewhat reserved young man, with eyes full of doubt. During that time, there were several moments when I felt like I couldn't hold on any longer. Luckily, Su-won was always by my side encouraging me. She not only helped me perfect my business plan, she taught me step by step how to communicate with the people at the bank, and even used her own personal connections. A week after I treated the branch manager to dinner, just when I was about to lose all hope, Su-won gave me a call. On the other end of the line, her voice was tinged with exhaustion, but even more so with excitement. Ah Ching, it's been approved. Hearing that, I couldn't help but ask excitedly, really? She said excitedly, yes, really. 300,000 will be disbursed within a week. I made a solemn vow to our bank president, treating your project as this year's key innovative pilot project. That's the only way I could convince him. I held the phone, speechless for a long moment. Tears started streaming down my face without warning. I said gratefully, Su-won, thank you. Hearing this, Su-won laughed and replied, you silly goose, there's no need to be so formal with me. I immediately promised, as soon as I get the money, I'll take you out to dinner. But Su-won just laughed and said, you can skip the dinner. You just hurry up and get your hotel built. I'm waiting to stay in the presidential suite. After hanging up, I walked over to the window. I looked out at the massive airport construction site where work had already started. A week later, I received a text message on my phone. Your account has been credited with 300,000 yuan. Staring at that long string of zeros, I couldn't help but take a deep breath. A full 500,000. This wasn't just my entire life savings, it was everything I was betting on. I said to myself, Ah Ching, there's no turning back now. My determined reply was, I can only win. I cannot lose. The day after I got the money, I immediately contacted the best architectural design firm in the city, and hired the most renowned construction crew in town. The crew's leader was Captain Zhao. He was a down-to-earth guy. When he saw my family's old house, he couldn't help but scratch his head. Ah Ching, are you sure you want to tear this house down and rebuild? That's right, Uncle Zhao. Captain Zhao then asked, and what do you plan on building once it's torn down? Let me tell you, this whole area is going to be the airport soon. Building a regular house here won't be very comfortable to live in. I then pulled out a blueprint and said, Uncle Zhao, don't you worry, I've already had someone draw up the designs. Captain Zhao took the blueprint, but after just one glance, his eyes widened. Well, I'll be 4 stories, plus a basement and a viewing deck? You're building a fancy villa. Hearing this, I calmly replied, not a villa. It's a hotel. Captain Zhao was instantly stunned and said. Captain Zhao and the workers behind him were dumbfounded. The looks on their faces were identical to the ones the bankers had. Captain Zhao couldn't help but ask doubtfully, Ah Ching, you're not kidding, are you? Building a hotel in the middle of nowhere? I pointed to the dusty airport construction site in the distance and said. Soon, this place won't be the middle of nowhere anymore. You see that? Over there is going to be the busiest place in all of Anning Town. Captain Zhao fell silent, looking at the determination in my eyes. He then stared at the blueprint for a long while, then looked up again at the location of my house. The look in his eyes began to change. Then, he slapped his thigh. It was like a light bulb went off. I get it now, Ah Ching. You've got a sharp mind. This is what you call getting ahead of the game. Captain Zhao continued excitedly, everyone else thinks this is a dead-end spot. But if you actually manage to build a hotel here, it'll be a gold mine. People getting off the planes will be tired and worn out. Who wouldn't want to find a place to rest as soon as possible? Won't your hotel be the first thing they see when they open their eyes? The very first option? I was a little surprised that Uncle Zhao could grasp my idea so quickly. So I asked him, are you willing to take this job? Uncle Zhao immediately puffed out his chest and slapped it confidently. He readily agreed, take it? Of course I'll take it. A job this interesting is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Don't you worry, whatever is on those blueprints is exactly how I'll build it for you. I guarantee it will be beautiful and solid. The day the bulldozer drove into the yard, it made a huge commotion. Some of the neighbors who hadn't moved out yet ran over to see what was going on. When they saw the little house that held all my childhood memories come crashing down under the bulldozer's iron arm, they all gasped in shock. That Fu Qing is completely insane. Tearing down a perfectly good house just like that. What is he trying to do? I heard he brought back a lot of money. He's going to build a fancy Western-style villa here. Seeing this, Auntie Lee crossed her arms and sneered, a villa? HMPH. I think he just has more money than sense. Once it's built, living in such a big house all by himself. Won't he be scared at night? The person next to her chimed in. Exactly. There won't be a single neighbor around. It'll be like living in a graveyard. I think he's just making his own life difficult for the sake of pride. Going against the development plan, does he think that will end well for him? I turned a deaf ear to all their chatter, simply standing before the messy ruins, watching the workers do their jobs. Before long, the commotion here caught the attention of Mayor Zheng Daqin. He was sitting in his sedan, and rolled down the window, watching me from a distance. He probably didn't expect that instead of coming to him crying and begging, I'd go and cause such a huge scene. Then, Zheng Daqin called out to me through the window, Fu Qing. I walked over and asked, is something wrong? His tone was interrogating. What do you think you're doing? Renovating the house. But he pressed on. Does renovating require tearing down the entire house? This is a reconstruction. Do you have the proper permits for this? I do. Zheng Daqin was surprised I had all the paperwork in order. His expression turned sour. He tossed the documents back at me, his voice laced with a threat. I'm warning you, don't mess around. The airport construction is a huge deal. If you dare obstruct the project or put up an illegal structure, don't blame me for what happens. I, on the other hand, put the documents away and looked him straight in the eye. Don't worry, everything I'm doing is well within the boundaries of the law. I won't get in anyone's way, and I'd appreciate it if no one got in my way. Zheng Daqin had probably never seen me take such a firm stance before. In the end, he just snorted heavily, rolled up the window, and sped off. I knew he had come to warn me, and to test me. In the days that followed, I spent almost every day at the construction site. Soon, the building's framework began to rise from the empty land, growing taller day by day at a visible rate. In the first month, the foundation and basement were finished, and the second main structure was topped off. Finally, when the last truck of concrete was poured onto the fourth-floor roof, Uncle Zhao excitedly set off a string of firecrackers. I stood on the freshly poured, unfinished rooftop. I looked down at the land beneath my feet and gazed out at the horizon. The outline of the distant airport was becoming clearer by the day. My hotel in the future airport seemed to be in a silent race to see who could be unveiled to the world faster. On that very day, I was on the construction site discussing exterior wall materials with the designer. A line of law enforcement vehicles came roaring up. The doors opened, and a dozen or so people in uniforms from different departments got out. The leader was a middle-aged man, and Zheng Daqin was right behind him, a barely perceptible sneer on his face. The middle-aged man asked harshly, "Who's in charge here?" I stepped forward and answered, "I am." He just flashed the ID in his hand. "We're the Joint Enforcement Team," he said. "We've received a public complaint that you have serious construction code violations and massive safety hazards here. You're also polluting the environment." Hearing this, my heart sank. I knew trouble had arrived. Zheng Daqin stood to the side, saying nothing, but the gloating look in his eyes said it all. Facing them, I replied calmly, "All our permits are legal, and construction is in full compliance with national standards. Whether it's legal or not isn't up to you to decide. Search the place. Search it thoroughly. Don't miss a single corner. The people behind him immediately spread out, swarming my construction site. Some checked for fire safety, some measured noise levels, some took air samples, and some flipped through our construction logs. Uncle Zhao and the workers were dumbfounded. They wanted to go and argue, but I stopped them. Let them search, because I knew deep down, this was Zheng Daqin's revenge. And at times like this, the last thing you can do is lose your cool. For the entire afternoon, my site was at a standstill. During that time, the nitpicking was endless. The spacing of the rebar here doesn't look right. Get a tape measure. Your dust control measures are inadequate. That's a fine. Where is the cafeteria's health permit? Let me see it. Zheng Daqin would occasionally lean in and whisper something in the middle-aged man's ear. Then, the two of them would look over at me with malicious glares. Through it all, I remained silent, simply using my phone to record their every move and get a clear shot of each of their faces. By the time the sun was about to set, they had practically turned the entire site upside down. Finally, they gathered together, and the middle-aged man gave his summary. After our detailed inspection this afternoon, your construction site is basically up to code. He clearly said those words with great reluctance. I could finally breathe a sigh of relief, because I knew that from the moment I decided to build this hotel, I had made sure every last detail was perfect. I hired the best supervision company, required a certificate of quality for every batch of materials, and ensured every phase of construction strictly followed the blueprints. My goal was to build a structure that no one could find a single fault with. The look on Zheng Daqin's face turned ugly. Obviously, he didn't expect that a young man in his 20s like me would be so meticulous in his work. Then, the middle-aged man changed his tone. But considering your construction site is right next to the airport, a key project, the situation is special. To ensure that nothing goes wrong, we've decided to demand that you halt work for a week for rectification and a comprehensive self-inspection. Uncle Zhao was the first one who couldn't help but roar. On what grounds? We haven't done anything wrong. Why should we stop working? At that, the middle-aged man put on a stern face and said, this is an order. If you refuse to comply, we will revoke your construction permit. We will revoke your construction permit. However, as I looked at his greasy and arrogant face, I suddenly laughed. Town Head Zheng, I have the phone numbers for the Municipal Housing Bureau, the Fire Department, and all the leaders of the Environmental Protection Bureau. I also just sent a video I recorded to a friend of mine. He works for the provincial media. Tell me, if I were to tell them everything that happened this afternoon, exactly as it happened, what do you think would happen? I'm just an ordinary person trying to protect my own home. I have no power or influence, so I can only use this crude method to protect myself. Hearing this, the smile on his face froze instantly. He stared at me, stunned. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He probably never dreamed that an orphan like me, who he saw as weak and easy to bully, would have such a trick up his sleeve. At that moment, that middle-aged man also sensed that the atmosphere wasn't right. He quickly walked over and asked, Town Head Zheng, what do you think? Seeing this, Zheng Daqin shot me a fierce glare, gritted his teeth, and said, let him continue construction. After saying that, he jumped into his car without looking back and fled in a panic with his so-called law enforcement team. Cheers immediately erupted on the construction site. Uncle Zhao and the workers all gave me a thumbs up, praising, Ah Ching, you're amazing. In reality, only I knew that what I had just said was half true, half false. I did record a video, but the friend in the media was someone I made up. I was gambling that Zheng Daqin, with his guilty conscience, wouldn't dare to blow the matter up. I won the bet, but I also knew he would never let this go. So, looking at the city lights in the distance, I took out my phone. Hello, Su Wan? I think I'm in big trouble. After Su Wan heard me finish explaining what happened this afternoon, she was silent for a long time on her end. So I asked tentatively, hello? Su Wan, are you still there? Her voice sounded very tired, but also very calm. I am. Ah Ching, don't panic just yet. I replied, I'm not panicking. I just want to know what I should do next. Su Wan analyzed from her end. You're on his turf. If you go head to head with him, you'll definitely lose out. I immediately followed up, so what's the plan? The art of war says, in any battle, one engages with the conventional and wins with the unconventional. Right now, you have all the proper documentation. You're legal and compliant. This is your conventional position. Zheng Daqin wants to find fault with you but can't, so he can only resort to dirty tricks. What we need to do is make an unexpected move, where he least expects it. I listened quietly. As Su Wan analyzed the situation, my muddled thoughts began to clear up. So I asked, what is this unexpected move? Su Wan replied, word by word, the airport. The Anning International Airport project itself, the one that's under construction. I was stunned for a moment when I heard that. She continued, what's your hotel's core competitive advantage in the future? It's the one-of-a-kind location. It's your proximity to the airport. So from now on, you can't just limit your vision to this little patch of land here in Anning Town. And you definitely can't keep focusing on a petty clown like Zheng Daqin. You have to elevate your thinking to the same level as the airport project. You need to find a way to make the airport project team see you as one of their own. Su Wan's words struck me like a bolt of lightning. Instantly, the fog clouding my vision cleared. I finally understood. The reason Jung Dachin could bully me so brazenly was because, in his eyes, I was just a weak and isolated individual. But if I could tie myself to this behemoth of an airport project, Jung Dachin would have to think twice before trying to touch me. But the question is, how'd I do that? I said, hesitantly, the airport project is a key initiative for both the province and the city. The people in charge are all high-ranking officials. I have no way of getting in touch with them. Hearing this, Su Wan laughed. Who said you need to go straight to the top leadership? Ah Ching, have you forgotten what your advantage is? I asked, confused. My advantage? Su Wan immediately started to explain. Right now, your construction site is the only place in all of Anning Town, aside from the airport itself, that has a large concentration of workers. How many workers are there at the airport construction site? There must be several thousand, right? What about their meals? What about their accommodations? And their day-to-day needs? From what I know, in order to rush the construction schedule, they've implemented a closed-off management system. The workers' lives are actually very dull and inconvenient, and you're located right next to them. The moment I heard that, I understood. I quickly asked, you mean, I should start a business for them? There was a hint of excitement in Su Wan's voice. It's not that simple. This is your best opportunity to get in with the airport project. You can use your current construction site to open a small, temporary service area for them. A small tuck shop, a large food stall, an outdoor movie theater. The investment wouldn't be huge, but it would immediately solve the airport workers' most urgent problems. You wouldn't just be providing products. You'd be providing convenience and care. When all those thousands of workers are grateful to you, what do you think the leaders of the construction project will think of you? They'll see you as a forward-thinking, responsible partner, an ally who can help them stabilize the workforce and handle their back-end problems. At that point, your hotel will no longer be just an isolated building, but the official service center for the airport project. Would Jung Dachin still dare to come and bother you then? Would he dare to oppose the entire airport project? After she said that, I was clutching the phone, my whole body trembling with excitement. I couldn't speak for a long time. Su Wan, you're a genius. Su Wan laughed and said, I'm not the genius. You're the one who gave me the inspiration. Anyone who could think of building a hotel next to an airport wouldn't be a fool. Su Wan then added with a sense of urgency, this needs to be done as soon as possible, before Jung Dachin makes his next move. We have to deploy our vanguard. I quickly asked what I needed to do. Su Wan suggested, you should go find Uncle Zhao. He has workers and the skills. Build a temporary stall and open an open-air food court. For him, that's a piece of cake. As for the supplies, you can directly contact the city's wholesale market. I'll give you a few phone numbers. They're all my clients, and you can trust them. Most importantly, the prices must be fair. The food must be clean and hygienic. We're not looking for excessive profits. We want to win their loyalty. After I hung up the phone, I felt every cell in my body come alive. My previous fatigue and confusion were completely swept away. In their place was an unprecedented fighting spirit and hope. I went to find Uncle Zhao that very night. I told him my idea, and after hearing it, Uncle Zhao slapped his thigh and exclaimed, that's a fantastic idea. I've felt sorry for those guys at the airport for a while now. They eat cafeteria food every single day. They must be sick to death of that bland food. If we open an open-air eatery and get some beer and grilled skewers, they'll go absolutely nuts for it. Uncle Zhao patted his chest, guaranteeing, Ah Ching, you can rest assured. Leave this to me. I'll bring my men tomorrow and level the site for you. I guarantee we'll be open for business within 3 days. Sure enough, Uncle Zhao's ability to get things done was beyond my imagination. 3 days later, a huge, simple food court was built with steel pipes and colored steel tiles. It appeared before me. I gave it a name, the fueling station. It was meant to fuel up the workers, and also to keep my own spirits up. At the same time, Jung Dachin's men had been secretly monitoring us. Seeing that we weren't building a hotel, but instead setting up a stall, they were all completely confused. Soon, the fueling station food court opened. That day, I held a small ceremony. I wrote a few large words on red paper and stuck it on the entrance, for the first 3 days of opening. All food and drinks are half price. I also had Uncle Zhao send a few workers to hand out flyers at the entrance of the airport construction site. As evening fell, the sky wasn't completely dark yet when the closing bell at the airport construction site rang. Hundreds upon thousands of workers surged out from the main gate like a tide. Most of them were covered in dust, their faces etched with exhaustion. When they saw that our place was brightly lit and smelled the aroma of barbecue wafting through the air, and stir-fried dishes, they all froze in place. Someone asked curiously, what's that place over there? It's so lively. It looks like some kind of diner. What's it called? The fueling station? Someone suggested, come on, let's go take a look. The first customer was a young lad who looked very young. He had a youthful look on his face. Boss, is it really half price here? I replied with a smile. He ordered. Then I'll have the twice-cooked pork on rice, with 2 extra eggs. Coming right up, I went into the kitchen myself. As fast as I could, I whipped up a steaming hot and generously portioned meal and served it to him. The young man stared wide-eyed at the pile of twice-cooked pork that was stacked like a small mountain. Soon, the second and third customers arrived. Half an hour later, the entire gas station was filled with people, sitting in small groups. They ordered a few side dishes and several cases of beer. The emotions suppressed all day on the construction site were completely unleashed by the alcohol and food. The originally empty and silent night was filled with this vibrant commotion. And was completely lit up. Uncle Zhao and his workers were also at one of the tables. Their faces flushed from drinking. My plan. The first step was a success. Over the next few days, business at the gas station boomed. My gas station became the workers' only comfort and paradise in their tedious lives on the construction site. The workers who were eating all frowned when they saw this. Obviously, they could tell that these men were here to cause trouble. So, I walked out from the back kitchen, untied my apron, and asked calmly, "What can I get for you gentlemen?" Zheng Chang looked me up and down. His eyes filled with aggression. "You're the boss? We're not here to eat. We're here to collect protection money." He held up 5 fingers and said, "If you want to do business here in Anning Town, you have to play by our rules. This much, every month." But before I could say anything, a burly, well-built man at the next table suddenly shot to his feet. This person was a foreman from the airport construction site, surnamed Zhang, who came to eat here almost every day. Foreman Zhang then asked in a gruff voice, "What do you think you're doing?" The workers who were eating all frowned when they saw this. Obviously, they could tell that these men were here to cause trouble. So, I walked out from the back kitchen and untied my apron. I calmly asked, "What can I get for you gentlemen?" Zheng Chang looked me up and down, his eyes filled with aggression. "You're the boss? We're not here to eat. We're here to collect protection money." He held up 5 fingers and said, "If you want to do business here in Anning Town, you have to play by our rules. This much, every month." But before I could say anything, a burly, well-built man at the next table suddenly shot to his feet. This person was a foreman from the airport construction site, surnamed Zhang, who came to eat here almost every day. Foreman Zhang then asked in a gruff voice, "What do you think you're doing? Coming here to cause a scene?" Zheng Chang shot him a disdainful sideways glance. "And who the hell do you think you are? This is grown-up business. Kids should stay out of it, or we'll take care of you, too." Foreman Zhang laughed when he heard this. He didn't say another word. Instead, he picked up an empty beer bottle from the table and with a light squeeze. With a loud crack, the glass bottle shattered into countless pieces in his hand. Seeing this, the smiles on the faces of Zheng Chang and his lackeys froze. Immediately after, dozens of other similarly well-built workers stood up from all directions. Some of them were holding beer bottles, while others had picked up stools. They didn't say a word, just silently surrounded Zheng Chang and his men. These workers came from all over the country and had spent years toiling away on construction sites. They may not have been highly educated, but they had a simple code of honor. Because I provided them with good, affordable meals, they were naturally willing to stand up for me. Zheng Chang and his cronies usually just bullied the honest folks in town. They had never seen a situation like this before, so Zheng Chang, putting on a brave face, shouted, "What do you think you're doing? I'm telling you, my uncle is Zheng Daqin." Foreman Zhang spat contemptuously and then said, "So, Mr. Big Money is your uncle? Then who's your dad, the Jade Emperor? Get lost, now, don't wait for us to get physical." Zheng Chang wanted to make a few more threats, but seeing the crowd around him growing larger, he completely lost his nerve. So he and his lackeys scrambled away in a panic, yelling, "We're leaving." The crowd immediately erupted in laughter. I watched the backs of Zheng Chang and his gang as they fled in disgrace, then looked at the workers who had spontaneously defended me. A warmth surged through my heart, and so I walked over. I gave Foreman Zhang a deep bow. "Brother Zhang, and to all of you masters, thank you for today." Foreman Zhang gave a hearty wave of his hand and said, "Nothing to thank us for. We just can't stand that bunch of scumbags. Boss Fu, we'll protect this place. From now on, if anyone dares to cause you trouble again, they'll have to answer to thousands of his brothers." As soon as he said that, he got a unanimous response from everyone around. Yeah, they'll have to answer to thousands of his brothers. At that moment, I stood in the center of the crowd, looking at all their simple and sincere faces. I was moved beyond words. And in the distance, Zheng Daqin, watching his nephew get chased away in disgrace, was trembling with rage. He realized things were gradually slipping out of his control. And I, the orphan he had never paid any mind to, had grown wings of unexpected strength. At the same time, not far away, the main structure of my 4-story building was complete. Just waiting for the exterior decoration. I had actually decided on its name long ago. It would be the Cloud Top Hotel. I made a silent vow to make everyone who looked down on me only be able to look up at my existence from the ground. After Zheng Chang and his men ran off in disgrace, the atmosphere at the gas station reached an all-time high. Foreman Zhang slapped a stack of cash on the table. "Boss Fu, if you look down on us roughnecks, then take this money back. We didn't help you to get a handout. We just saw a young man who dared to stand up against that gang. You've got guts. It's you we respect as a person." In the end, I couldn't refuse them, so I had to take the money. But I knew in my heart that what I had gained was far more valuable than a little money. What I had truly gained were the hearts of the people. The news quickly reached the ears of the airport project headquarters. At first, they were very nervous. Thousands of workers gathering at an uncontrolled, private place was, in their eyes, a huge safety hazard. I heard the project department held an overnight meeting because of it. At the meeting, someone proposed shutting down my gas station and forcing all the workers into the enclosed construction site. This proposal was immediately met with fierce opposition from the head of construction. If we forcibly lock them up, it will only let the conflict and pressure build up. Sooner or later, something bad will happen. After a long debate, a compromise was proposed. Instead of seeing him as a threat, why not turn him into a manageable partner? Soon, a car with a sign that said Anning Airport Construction Command Center, an SUV, pulled up at the entrance of my site. A man in his 30s got out. He walked straight towards me and asked politely, "Excuse me, are you Boss Fu Ching?" I looked at him with some suspicion. I replied, "I am." He extended his hand to introduce himself. "Hello, my name is Chin Cho. I'm the Deputy Director of the Airport Project's Logistics Department. Can I talk to you for a moment?" I hesitated for a moment, but in the end, I sat down with him at the gas station. At an empty table, I poured him a glass of herbal tea, and asked, "Director Chin, what can I do for you?" Chin Cho smiled, a gentle smile, and said, "Boss Fu, don't be nervous. I didn't come here today to cause trouble. I came to discuss a business deal with you." Hearing this, I was stunned and asked in return, "A business deal?" Chin Cho pushed up his glasses. He got straight to the point and replied, "Yes. Our department has discussed this. We've unanimously agreed that your gas station has made a very positive contribution to the stable progress of our airport project. We are very grateful to you for providing the workers with such a great place to relax." After hearing this, I was a bit caught off guard. I originally thought they would come to make trouble for me sooner or later. Chin Cho then took a document out of his briefcase and said, "We want to sign a formal cooperation agreement with you. Our command center will officially authorize your gas station to become the Anning International Airport Project's #1 service area. We will provide you with official signage. At the same time, we'll give you a monthly subsidy. We only have one request." My heart started to race. I immediately asked, "What request?" Chin Cho looked at me, his eyes full of sincerity, and said, "Ensure food safety. Ensure stable prices. Let the workers eat with peace of mind. And eat happily. Boss Fu, we know that at your current prices, you're making almost no profit. We're giving you a subsidy because we hope you can continue doing this for the long term. You help us secure the home front, so we can focus on construction on the front lines." At that moment, I looked at the agreement on the table, at the word cooperation on it. My eyes suddenly started to well up. Su Wan's strategy, that brilliant move to win by yielding, in the end, was realized in a way I had never imagined. Not only did I become an ally of the airport project, I even became one of their officially certified own. I replied immediately, "I agree." I picked up the pen and signed my name on the agreement. Chin Cho happily put the agreement away, and said, "Boss Fu, it's a pleasure working with you. If you need any help from us in the future, or if anyone comes to harass you, you can call me anytime." Shinpin Paper Products, sent away Chin Cho. I immediately called Su Wan and said excitedly, "Hello? Su Wan, we did it." Su Wan laughed on the other end of the line and said, "I knew you would, Ah Ching. Remember this. When you can provide others with value they can't refuse, you become a partner everyone wants to win over. Not an ant that can be casually stepped on. From now on, your battlefield has been upgraded." And just as she said, the very next day, a brand new blue sign was hung in the most prominent spot at the gas station. On it were 2 lines of large characters, designated living service area for the Anning International Airport Project. Supervised by the logistics department of the Anning Airport Construction Command. This sign was like an ancient general's command banner. The moment it was hung, the whole atmosphere of the gas station changed. And so, when the workers looked at this sign, they stood up a little straighter. Consuming here was no longer just about eating and drinking, it was an officially recognized benefit. At that point, my identity changed from a controversial private business owner to a legitimate, government-backed entrepreneur. I could clearly feel that Jung Dachin's ever-present, watchful eyes became much more restrained after seeing that sign. At least for the next week, there were no more incidents of harassment. The construction site and the gas station both enjoyed a rare period of peace. I knew this was just the calm before the storm. After all, a person like Jung Dachin would never let things go so easily. Sure enough, a week later, trouble arrived quietly, in a way I hadn't expected. That morning, a distraught old Lee found me. "Boss Fu, I'm so sorry. The meat probably can't be delivered today." My heart skipped a beat. I quickly asked, "What happened, Master Lee?" Old Lee lit a cigarette and took a long drag. He sighed and said, "Don't get me started. I went to pick up the goods early this morning, and was stopped halfway by the town's transport officials. They said I was violating regulations, and that they had to impound my truck and fine me. My truck wasn't even at half its rated load capacity. I tried to reason with them, but they just said a 10,000 yuan fine, or they'd impound the truck for a month." Hearing this, my heart sank completely. This was definitely not a coincidence. It was clearly Jung Dachin's new tactic. He didn't dare to come after me directly anymore, so he started targeting my upstream supply chain. Old Lee then added helplessly, "And it's not just me. This morning, the guys who deliver vegetables and cooking oil to this area, several of their trucks were stopped at different intersections. They came up with all sorts of excuses. Things like, failed emissions test. Basically any reason to pull them over. A fine and the truck gets impounded. Now, none of the drivers in town who deliver to us dare to drive over here anymore. They're all scared. What a brilliant move, cutting me off at the source. You have to understand, the gas station consumes a huge amount of ingredients every day. Once the supply chain is cut, we'd have to close down in less than 2 days. By noon, the effects of the ingredient shortage were already starting to show. Several dishes that the workers wanted to order couldn't be made because we didn't have the ingredients. Although they all said they understood, I could see the disappointment in their eyes. Seeing this, I was frantic with worry. So I immediately called Chin Shou and explained the situation to him. Chin Shou flew into a rage on the phone. How outrageous. This is absolute nonsense. This is sabotaging the normal operation of the airport project. He immediately promised me he'd go negotiate with the town officials. However, an hour later, he called back. He said helplessly, Fu Qing, I went to them. They agreed to everything verbally. They said they'd correct it immediately, but the people under them are just feigning compliance. They're still setting up checkpoints everywhere. This is local protectionism. It's their internal network of interests. We're the command headquarters. We don't have direct authority over the local administration. They're just giving me the runaround. It seems I can't rely on others. I have to find a way to break through this myself. I immediately dialed Su Wan's number. Su Wan, do me a favor. That list you gave me before. The contact information for the wholesale markets in the city, do you still have it? Su Wan immediately asked, of course I do. What's wrong? Did something happen? I then briefly explained Zheng Daqin's tactics and my current predicament. After a few seconds of silence on the other end, Su Wan commented, that's ruthless. They're trying to back you into a corner. Ah Qing, what are you going to do? Getting supplies from the city. That's a long way to go. The costs will be much higher, and you don't have a vehicle. I can rent a car, or buy a used one. A slightly higher cost doesn't matter. The subsidy Director Chin gave me can be used for this. The most important thing is, I need to have control over my supply source. I don't want to be at someone else's mercy again. Su Wan's voice was filled with approval. Good, you've got guts, was her firm reply. Now that's more like you. Don't you worry about the car. I have a client who's in the used car business. I'll have him find you a sturdy, reliable little truck. I'll handle the paperwork for you, and I'll front the money. You don't have to worry about a thing. As for the wholesale market, I'll put in another good word for you, and have them save the best goods for you. And give you the best wholesale price. Ah Qing, you just have to remember, Anning Town is just a small pond. Zheng Daqin is a big fish in that pond, but once he's out of it, he's nothing. What you need to do is to plant your roots in the rivers and oceans outside the pond. Su Wan's words were a revelation. I was always thinking about how to fight him here in Anning Town, but I forgot that I could just bypass him completely and move to a much bigger platform. 2 days later, a semi-used, blue pickup truck was parked at the entrance of my construction site. Su Wan had driven it over herself. She put the car keys in my hand and asked, you have a driver's license, right? I answered confidently, I do. I got it back in college, but it's been a while since I've driven. Su Wan reassured me, don't worry, this truck is tough. Drive it however you want. Su Wan then opened the back of the truck. It was packed to the brim. She smiled and said, model. This is the first batch of goods I brought for you from the wholesale market on my way. Check the goods. At that moment, as I looked at the truck full of fresh ingredients, and then at the travel-worn Su Wan, my nose tingled. I couldn't help but choke up a little. Su Wan quickly patted my shoulder and said, alright, don't get all sentimental. Hurry up and unload. The workers are still waiting to eat. When your hotel opens, just save me a few presidential suites, and we'll call it even. That night, the food at the gas station was more lavish than ever before. When the workers found out that I had personally driven dozens of kilometers to the city to get these ingredients, everyone was shocked. Foreman Zhang walked up to me, holding a bowl of wine. His face flushed with emotion. Boss Fu, in my whole life, old Zhang, have never really admired anyone. You're one of them. For this gesture alone, we'll follow you. This gas station is a home to all of us. If anyone dares to touch our home, we won't let them get away with it. Then, several hundred workers shouted in unison, a home to all of us. If anyone dares to touch our home, we won't let them get away with it. At that moment, I knew Zheng Daqin's plan to cut me off at the source had completely failed. Not only did he fail to crush me, but he had instead made me and these honest workers completely united. Ever since I got my own truck and an independent supply chain, Gone 60579, my gas station had finally found its footing. Gone G0579. I put all my energy, Gone 60579, back into the construction of the hotel. The designer Su Wan found for me was truly skilled. He designed my hotel in a modern, minimalist style. Against the backdrop of the messy construction site, it was like something from a city of the future. A piece of art air dropped onto this land. At the same time, on Chin Shou's advice, I opened a small supermarket, selling cigarettes, snacks, and daily necessities. I also bought several washing machines to offer laundry services. My gas station had now become a fully functional micro-community, perfectly taking care of all the airport workers' needs and worries. And just like that, my reputation, through the words of these workers, spread throughout the entire airport project. Everyone knew that there was a young boss named Fu Qing next to the construction site. One day, I was in the gas station doing the accounts, when Qin Shou suddenly let a few people in. The leader was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He was accompanied by 2 young people holding notebooks and cameras. Qin Shou immediately made an enthusiastic introduction. "Boss, let me introduce you. This is the manager of the Project Development Department from China Southern Airlines headquarters. Manager Chen Mo. He's here to do preliminary research for the airport's future flight routes." Hearing this, my heart skipped a beat. I immediately stood up and extended my hand. "Manager Chen, hello." Chen Mo shook my hand, a professional smile on his face. "Boss Fu, I've heard a lot about you. Director Chen has been singing your praises the whole way here." I quickly replied humbly, "Director Chen, you flatter me." Chen Mo then got straight to the point and said, "We were just taking a look around the airport construction site. And then we saw this very well-designed building of yours." Director Chen explained that this was a hotel about to open. "Are you the owner?" he asked. I answered with confidence, "Yes." Then he made a request. "Can you show us around?" I immediately replied, "Of course I can." I put down the ledger in my hands. I led them toward my hotel. On the way, Chen Mo asked me a lot of questions. My answers were steady and clear. By the time I led them into the hotel lobby, which was still being renovated, they were all completely stunned. Standing here, you could get a clear view of the construction site in the distance, where tower cranes were busily at work. It wasn't hard to imagine that in the near future, you would see silvery airplanes taking off and landing from here. The visual impact was unparalleled. Chen Mo couldn't help but exclaim in genuine admiration, "Amazing. Mr. Fu, you have a great eye." While everyone else was staring at the demolition compensation money, you saw the value of the future. At the same time, the assistant behind him was constantly taking photos and notes. Afterwards, we went to the observation deck on the roof. Standing here, you could see the entire airport construction site. Chen Mo stared into the distance and began to speak slowly. "Our airline's flight crews need to rest in the city they land in after every mission. We have very high standards for our contracted hotels. Safety, privacy, and convenience are all indispensable. Your hotel has a one-of-a-kind advantage in terms of location. It's the closest one to the airport, even closer than the employee dorms we have planned." He then turned his head to look at me, his eyes shining brightly. "Mr. Fu, once your hotel is open, would you be interested in becoming Southern Airlines' designated crew hotel at Anning Airport?" When I heard that, my heart leapt. You have to understand, signing a long-term cooperation agreement with an airline meant my hotel would have the most stable, highest quality customer base before it even opened. This was, without a doubt, a dream come true for me. So I did my best to suppress my excitement. "Of course I'm interested." Hearing this, Chen Mo nodded in satisfaction. "Very good. Once your hotel is officially finished, we'll send a professional team to come and evaluate it. If it's a good fit, we'll sign a strategic partnership agreement." Then, he took a business card out of his pocket and handed it to me. "Keep in touch." After seeing Chen Mo and his group off, I stood alone on the roof in the wind, feeling like it was all a dream. Just as I was getting ready to go downstairs, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a car parked at the end of the dirt road in the distance. It was Zheng Daqin's car. He was sitting inside, and there was someone sitting next to him. Right then, Zheng Daqin seemed to be pointing at my hotel and saying something to the person. So, I calmly walked back downstairs. I sent a message to Su Wan, "Help me check on someone." Then, using my phone, I zoomed in from the roof and snapped a blurry side profile picture of the 2 men. I added, the guy in the suit sitting next to Zheng Daqin. "I want all his info, the more detailed the better." Su Wan replied almost instantly, "Received." "Trouble?" "Yes, there's trouble. 1, 2, 3, I replied. "This might be real trouble." After I hung up the phone, I walked to the construction site entrance and said to Uncle Zhao, "Uncle Zhao, help me with something." Uncle Zhao immediately replied, "Ah Ching. What is it?" I explained, "Help me find someone to make a sign, with the best wood. Hand-carved." Uncle Zhao asked curiously, "What should it say?" "Write these 8 characters, no entry for non-customers." Uncle Zhao stared at the words, stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "I get it. This is to lay down the law for certain people, huh? I'll go find the best carpenter in town right away. I guarantee I'll get it done perfectly for you." 3 days later, a sign carved from a single piece of rosewood was placed in the most conspicuous spot at the entrance of my hotel construction site. And the appearance of this sign immediately caught everyone's attention. The workers who came to eat at the gas station would glance at it as they passed by, and then smile knowingly. Obviously, they all understood who this sign was for. Of course, Zheng Daqin saw it too. And of course, he knew. This non-customer was referring to him and the distinguished guest he had brought with him. I was telling them in the most direct way possible that my territory did not welcome their prying eyes. That evening, I got a call from Su Wan. "Ah Ching, I found something. The man's name is Ji Bochong. He's the boss of Huayu Capital in the city. What he's best at is finding projects with huge potential value, but have weaknesses or disputes, and then using various means to forcibly acquire them at a low price. He then repackages and resells them for a huge profit. Over the years, he's ruined quite a few companies. Every word Su Wan said made my heart sink a little deeper. I asked in confusion, how did he get mixed up with Jung Daqin? Su Wan immediately answered, I checked the business registration information. An investment company under Ji Bocheng's name. Just last month, partnered with Jung Daqin's younger brother. And registered a new company called Anning Konggong Company, Limited. Su Wan then asked the company's registered address. Guess where it is? Hearing this, my mind went blank. I replied, it's here, at my place. Su Wan's voice was ice cold. That's right. It's the address of your plot of land. Everything became clear. Jung Daqin never intended to let me be from the very beginning. He excluded me from the development area, precisely to keep this piece of land for himself. He knew this land would increase in value in the future. So he had his younger brother cooperate with Ji Bocheng, planning to make this land their own. By building a hotel here, I blocked their path to wealth. That's why they have to use every means possible to drive me away and turn my hotel into their own. Those previous underhanded little tricks were just the appetizer. Now, the real corporate predator, Ji Bocheng, has personally entered the fray. I asked Su Wan worriedly, what are they going to do? Su Wan continued, Ji Bocheng's methods usually come in 3 steps. First, smear campaigns. They'll ruin your reputation. They'll make everyone think you're trouble and make your partners waver. Second, legal action, suing you with all sorts of fabricated charges. It's meant to drain your energy and funds. Third, they'll pull the rug out from under you. They'll go after your funding and your team, making you collapse from within. Once they've worn you down enough, he'll show up posing as a savior. He'll give you an insulting, lowball offer you can't refuse. To buy up everything you have. I listened to Su Wan's analysis. In silence for a long time, then I slowly spoke. I get it, since he wants to play. Then I'll play his game to the very end. Hearing this, Su Wan sounded a little worried. Aching, she began, and I said to her, Su Wan, keep helping me keep an eye on Ji Bocheng and that new company. All their financial transactions and movements. I need to know his every move. Also, I'll push for the collaboration with China Southern Airlines to happen as soon as possible. I need a powerful, official ally to back me up. And another thing, my hotel must be completed and opened as quickly as possible. As long as I can start generating cash flow, I can wear him down in a war of attrition. I laid out my entire plan in one breath. After listening, Su Wan let out a long sigh of relief. Aching, you've really grown up. I looked at the no entry sign outside the window. I was forced to. This world doesn't believe in tears. If you want to survive, you have to become an even tougher warrior than your enemy. Ji Bocheng's attack came sooner and was more ferocious than I had anticipated. Overnight, on several of Anning Town's local forums, and on some popular social media accounts in the city, harshly worded articles began to appear. The headlines were sensationalist, the illegal tumor next to the airport. Who gave him the privilege to ignore planning regulations? Where did a young man get a 500,000 yuan fortune? Suspicious capital. Uncovering the financial mystery behind Cloud Hotel. A hotel less than 100 meters from the runway? A huge potential hazard for future flights. In the articles, I was portrayed as a greedy person with a mysterious background. A holdout who disregards public safety for money, while also implying my loan was obtained through improper means. They even insinuated that I had improper dealings with the bank and the airport authorities. Su Wan and Qin Shou were also dragged into it through insinuation. These articles spread like a virus. They circulated rapidly online. The people in town were already jealous and curious about me. Now, the gossip was rampant. See, I told you so. How could a young guy like him be so capable? There must be someone powerful backing him. Well, he's in big trouble now. Let's see how he gets out of this. Auntie Lee was especially gloating, forwarding these articles in the local WeChat groups. She even added her own spin, saying disaster is sure to follow when your status exceeds your virtue. The negative public opinion quickly reached the airport project headquarters. Qin Shou called me immediately, his voice filled with anxiety. Fuching, have you seen those articles online? The leadership at headquarters is taking this very seriously. The pressure is immense. I've seen them, I answered calmly. Director Qin, don't worry. I will handle this. The innocent have nothing to hide. I hung up the phone and before I could even catch my breath, Uncle Zhao came to find me, his face filled with rage. Ah Ching is going too far. Confused, I asked him, what's wrong, Uncle Zhao? Uncle Zhao then said angrily, just now. Some company from the city called Hongfa Construction or something sent people to our site. They were specifically trying to poach my most experienced craftsmen, offering them double the salary. They're even offering full benefits. A few of the younger guys are already tempted. My heart sank. I found those young workers who were tempted. I didn't scold them. I just looked at them calmly and said, it's natural to want to better yourselves. I understand. I won't stop you if you want to go. I'll pay every last cent of your wages to those who leave. But in the future, the doors of the Cloud Top Hotel will be forever closed to you. After I said that, I turned and walked away. Those young men stood there, looking at each other. In the end, none of them left. They might not be the most loyal people, but they aren't stupid. They could see who was actually trying to build something real, and who was just there to cause trouble. Uncle Zhao's team was stabilized, but new trouble was just around the corner. The very next day, I received a court summons. An environmental tech company I'd never even heard of was suing me for construction noise and light pollution, claiming it was severely affecting the operation of their company's precision instruments. They were demanding 1 million yuan in compensation, and they demanded that my hotel immediately halt all construction. But the company's registered address was on a barren piece of land a few kilometers away. There wasn't a single soul there. This was a blatant, malicious lawsuit. Its only purpose was to slow me down and drain my funds. I had no choice but to hire a lawyer and prepare to fight it. My funds were already stretched to the limit, and now I had another massive expense. I was only sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night. During the day, I had to deal with things at the construction site, calm the workers' anxieties, and meet with the lawyer. At night, I had to drive to the city myself to pick up supplies, and when I got back, I still had to check on the gas station. The immense pressure was nearly suffocating me. For the first time, I started to doubt myself. My opponent was a financial giant with massive capital and a professional team. And all I had was a small team and a whole lot of guts. Just then, Su Wan called. "Ah Ching, don't be afraid. I've heard everything. These are just Ji Bo Cheng's usual dirty tricks. A lot of people have fallen for them, but you won't. Go outside the gas station and take a look." Hearing that, I wiped away my tears. I walked to the door, confused. On the empty lot outside the gas station, dozens of workers who had just gotten off their shifts were gathered together, holding their phones. They were leaving comments, one by one, under those articles that were slandering me. Bullshit. Boss Fu's food is the cheapest in all of Anning Town. And the cleanest. I work on the Cloud Top hotel site myself. The safety standards here are higher than a lot of the big developments in the city. Whoever's spreading these rumors, I'll go and rip their mouth off. If this hotel is illegal, then there's no such thing as a legal building in the entire world. Boss Fu has all his permits in order. We support Boss Fu. Take down those backstabbing bastards. Their words were crude, even filled with curses. All they knew was, they'll stand up for anyone who treats them well. Looking at them, tears welled up in my eyes again. This time, they were tears of gratitude. I suddenly understood. Ji Bochong has money, a team, and his ways. But I have something he'll never have. I have the support of the people. I sniffled and walked forward. Brother Zhang, everyone. Brother Zhang saw me and grinned. Thank you all. Nothing to thank us for. We just can't stand seeing those scumbags bully good people. Another worker added, don't be afraid, Boss Fu. There are thousands of us brothers standing with you. If they dare lay a single finger on you, we'll tear their whole operation down. I looked at their simple, determined faces. The doubt and fear in my heart vanished. I stood up tall again. I called Manager Chen Mo of China Southern Airlines. Hello, Manager Chen. This is Fu Qingqing. About those rumors about me online. I'm sure you've seen them. I don't want to waste time making excuses. I just want to invite you and your assessment team to come inspect my hotel in person, anytime. And I'd like to make you a wager. If the assessment is successful, I want us to sign the contract immediately. In return, I'll give you a 20% discount on the fee for the first 3 years. If the assessment fails, I'll cover all of your team's travel expenses. I'm betting my reputation and my future on this. My call took Chen Mo completely by surprise. Boss Fu, you've got guts. I admire people with guts. Tell you what, in 3 days, I'll bring our most professional team over. I hope you won't let me down. I replied, you've got a deal. After hanging up, I immediately went to find Uncle Zhao. Uncle Zhao, we have to, within 3 days, get the hotel ready to receive the assessment team. I poured all of my remaining funds into this final push. We focused on the hotel's core areas, the parts that would show its true value, presenting them perfectly, and abandoned the time-consuming, labor-intensive finishing touches. I told everyone, we're not just renovating. We're fighting a battle. My words ignited the workers' passion. Foreman Zhang and his crew even volunteered to work after their shifts, without taking a break. They came straight to my site to help. The airport construction site, with its thousands of workers, formed an incredible bond with my hotel site. By day, they were sweating it out at the airport. By night, they were here under temporary floodlights, working through the darkness. The entire site was lit up and bustling with activity 24 hours a day. This relentless drive stunned everyone who saw it. 3 days later, when the assessment team from China Southern Airlines, led by Chen Mo, arrived at my hotel again, they were all stunned by the scene before them. In just a few days, the building had been completely transformed. The core areas already had the makings of a 5-star hotel. I led them to the rooftop observation deck, where comfortable outdoor tables and chairs were already set up. I invited Manager Chen to have a seat, and I poured a cup of hot tea for each of them. And that concludes the tour. This will be the Airport View Executive Lounge for our Cloud Hotel. Every China Southern Airlines crew member staying at our hotel can enjoy the top-tier view from here. And the most relaxing environment. Chen Mo is holding a teacup. Chen Mo, holding a teacup, looked at the huge terminal in the distance, his eyes filled with awe. Meanwhile, the team members behind him were in every corner of the hotel with various instruments, conducting rigorous tests. My heart was in my throat. A few hours later, all the tests were complete. A technical lead wearing glasses walked up to Chen Mo and handed him a freshly printed report. Chen Mo took the report and began to read it very carefully. He read very slowly. My palms were drenched in sweat. Finally, he put down the report and looked at me with a sharp gaze. Boss Fu, I have to admit, You've created a miracle. Whether it's the build quality or the design concept, your hotel has exceeded our expectations. Especially the soundproofing. The indoor noise is controlled at 40 decibels. That's very impressive. Hearing this, my heart finally settled. To achieve this level of soundproofing, we gave up on a lot of time-consuming and elaborate decorations. Now it seems, it was all worth it. Then, Chen Mo's tone shifted. However, your hotel is currently just a work in progress. Many of the supporting facilities are not yet complete. This doesn't meet the terms of our proposed partnership. I took a deep breath. Just as I was about to present my backup plan, but Chen Mo smiled. But personally, I'm very optimistic about your future. So I've decided to take a gamble on you, too. With that, he took 2 documents from his briefcase. One was a letter of intent for the hotel partnership, and the other was a personal angel investment agreement. Chen Mo explained, this letter of intent. We can sign this first. It represents the official stance of China Southern Airlines, and it can help you fend off a lot of external pressure. Then, he pushed the second document in front of me. As for this investment agreement, this is a personal investment from me, in my wife's name. An investment of 1 million in your hotel, to help you get through this difficult period and fully complete the hotel. I don't want any of your shares. Just consider it a loan from me. Once your hotel becomes profitable, you can just pay me back with interest. I never dreamed that you would support me in this way. Why? I asked, my voice trembling. Chen Mo took a sip of tea. His gaze distant. He said, because in you, I see a reflection of my younger self. Having nothing, yet daring enough to declare war on the whole world. There aren't many young people like that anymore. I don't want to see your dream killed in its cradle by those filthy investors. My eyes welled up with tears. I stood up and gave him a deep bow. I said, Manager Chen, thank you. I, Fu Qing, swear right here that I will never betray your trust. That afternoon, on the rooftop of my half-finished hotel, I signed that $1 million agreement. And just as my pen left the paper, I received a message from Su Wan. Ding, ding, Ji Bochong has started a hostile takeover of our bank's shares on the secondary market. He's trying to force me out. I stared at the message. Then I looked up into the distance. I knew the final showdown had just begun. Manager Chen Mo's personal investment of 1 million was like a shot in the arm, injecting life into my nearly depleted funds. But that text from Su Wan was like a bucket of ice water poured over my head. I knew Su Wan had become a target. All because of me. I called Su Wan. It rang for a long time before she picked up. Su Wan's voice was exceptionally weary when she said, Ah Ching. I'm in a meeting. Make it quick. I asked anxiously, how are you? Did he? Su Wan cut me off, her tone trying to sound casual. It's nothing. Just the usual games you play in the business world. You don't have to worry. I can handle it. Just focus on getting your hotel built. That's the best way you can support me. A man like Ji Bochong only cares about profit. As long as your project is a success, it'll prove my initial judgment was right, and those old-timers on the bank's board will have nothing to say. I knew she was just trying to comfort me. Ji Bochong was using his vast capital to pressure the entire bank. His goal was to force them to sacrifice Su Wan, the person who approved it. I said softly into the phone, Su Wan, I'm sorry. There was a moment of silence on the other end, then she said comfortingly, we're friends. Helping you wasn't an investment. It was about trust. Don't overthink it. Just stick to your plan. Remember, if you win, we all win. I have to go now. We'll talk later if anything comes up. She hung up. Friends, trust. Those 2 words weighed on my heart like a ton of bricks. I couldn't lose, not just for the sake of my hotel, but also for Su Wan's career and Chen Mo's trust. I returned to the construction site. Uncle Zhao and the workers were anxiously waiting for news. When they saw me, they all asked with concern, Ah Ching. What did the people from China Southern Airlines say? I pushed all my feelings aside, put a smile on my face, and said, they're very satisfied. They're going to sign a letter of intent with us. A cheer went up across the site. That's great. All our hard work these past few days has finally paid off. Looking at the honest smiles on their faces, I announced right then and there. This month, all workers who participated in the rush job will get double pay. And as for the airport workers who came to help, everyone gets a 1,000 yuan bonus. The next day, the 1 million yuan investment was transferred to my account. At the same time, the legal department at China Southern sent over a scanned copy of the stamped and sealed letter of intent. With the official backing of China Southern Airlines, the rumors about my mysterious background and the illegal construction just fell apart. I immediately called Chin Shou. Director Chin, I'd like to use the airport command center's name to hold a press conference. Chin Shou was taken aback for a moment. He asked, a press conference? About what? I immediately explained, for the official debut of the Cloud Hotel, and to announce the future of our 3-way partnership with the airport and China Southern. I want to invite reporters from all the major media outlets in the city, and even the province, to attend. To explain the entire story behind the hotel's construction in front of everyone. I also need to reveal the letter of intent for cooperation with China Southern Airlines and all the legal documents. Make it all public. Chin Shou immediately understood my intentions. You want to use their own momentum against them to completely turn public opinion around. I answered, word for word, yes. I don't want to play this game of hide and seek with them anymore. I'm going to lay all my cards on the table, since they want to make me famous. Then I'll become truly famous. Chin Shou was silent on the other end of the line for a long time. This was a risk for him, too. If anything went wrong at the press conference, he would also have to take responsibility. Finally, he made up his mind and said, "Alright, I support you. The airport project needs a partner like you, and the development of Anning Town needs this kind of energy. I'll contact the reporters. As for the venue, we'll use the conference room at the airport command center. Let's set the date for 3 days from now. Fu Qing, together, we'll make a spectacular comeback." 3 days passed in a flash. Chin Shou's network was extensive. He had invited almost every major media outlet in the city. At 10 in the morning, the press conference officially began. I took a deep breath and walked up to the podium. Friends from the media, all our guests. Hello everyone, my name is Fu Qing, and I'm the founder of the Cloud Hotel. I know that recently, online, there have been many rumors circulating about me and my hotel. Some say I'm mysterious, some say the source of my funding is questionable, and others have even called my building a malignant tumor next to the airport. I'm standing here today to tell you all that none of that is true. I'm just an ordinary boy from Anning Town. My parents passed away when I was young, leaving me this old house. When the entire town was slated for demolition, my home was the only one zoned outside the red line. I didn't cry or cause a scene. I just felt that fate had a reason for leaving me here. It had its reasons. I took out the entire inheritance my parents left me, and borrowed another 300,000 from the bank to scrape together 500,000 in startup capital. I tore it down to rebuild it. I wanted to transform it from an abandoned old house into a hotel that could serve the new airport. I named it Cloud, in the hope that, like an airplane, it could soar towards the clouds, flying towards a brighter future. My voice was calm. I wasn't trying to be overly emotional, just stating the facts. The story of a young man protecting his home through his own efforts and chasing his dream. The audience below gradually fell silent. Many of the reporters put down their pens, listening quietly as I continued to speak. Every single cent of my funding is clean. The friend at the bank who provided me with the loan is now suffering from unjust accusations because of her professionalism and integrity. I looked towards Su Wan in the crowd. She was sitting in an inconspicuous corner, her eyes a little red. Every step of my construction process was legal and compliant. The person supervising the quality of the project for me was Director Chin of the Airport Command Center. Chin Shou nodded at me, his eyes filled with encouragement. And my hotel's future is certainly no malignant tumor, because I have already spoken with manager Chen Mo of China Southern Airlines. And we've reached a preliminary strategic partnership. I turned and pointed to the backdrop behind me. 202, and that letter of intent for cooperation hanging on the wall. In the future, this place will become the most welcoming haven for China Southern Airlines crew members. As soon as those words were spoken, a gasp went through the entire room. An official partnership with China Southern Airlines. This was, without a doubt, the biggest news of the day. In the face of this document, all doubts seemed pale and insignificant. I gestured to Uncle Zhao and Foreman Zhang in the front row as I responded frankly. I don't have any mysterious background, just a desire to do something for my hometown. What supports me is this land behind me that I love. It's the leaders at all levels who support me, and it's the business partners who trust me. It's the fellow workers who have bled and sweated alongside me. Then, the press conference moved on to the reporter queue and a session. A male reporter stood up and asked a sharp question. Mr. Fu, you mentioned earlier that your friend at the bank was being targeted because of you. As far as I know, a company called Webtoon Capital has recently been attempting a hostile takeover of your friend's bank, and the online media outlets that have been slandering you also have ties to Webtoon Capital. Do you believe this is a malicious business campaign targeting you? All eyes in the room were focused on me. After a moment of silence, I responded clearly, there are two kinds of people in this world. One kind sees value and thinks of ways to create it and protect it. The other kind sees value and only thinks of how to plunder it and destroy it. Then they claim it for themselves. All creators are welcome here, but the door will always be closed to those greedy predators. I believe that in the light of day, all conspiracies and schemes will eventually have nowhere to hide. As soon as I finished speaking, the room erupted in thunderous applause. That afternoon, news about the Cloud Hotel swept the front pages of every media outlet in the city. My image was transformed from a controversial holdout into an independent and resilient young man who dared to stand up to injustice, fate, and big money. But on the very next day after the press conference, trouble arrived. In the morning, Uncle Zhao rushed over, yelling, "Hey Qing, this is bad. The hotel's water has been cut off." My heart sank. I asked, what happened? Didn't we pay the water bill on time? Uncle Zhao immediately replied, we did. But the town's water plant said the main pipeline in our area needs a week of maintenance. This is a classic dirty trick used by local thugs. Without water, all the final renovation work on the hotel would have to stop. To make matters worse, the gas station couldn't operate normally either. I immediately thought of Chin Shou, but before I even had a chance to call him, an unexpected person showed up at my door. He introduced himself. My name is Wang Weiguo. I was once the chairman of the Hongtu Group. The name Hongtu Group sounded vaguely familiar. I think it was once a very famous local real estate company in the city. But I'd heard that a few years ago, its capital chain snapped, and it went bankrupt overnight. Wang Weiguo looked at me, a complex expression in his eyes. I came today to talk to you about something. It's about that boss from Wayu Capital who pushed you into a corner. Ji Bochang, he's the one who used the same methods to crush me. I realized immediately that the person before me was not an enemy. He was my natural ally. Curious, I asked Chairman Wang, what exactly happened? Wang Weiguo immediately sank into a painful memory. I was developing a large-scale commercial complex, just like you are now. I invested my entire fortune. But just when the project was about to be completed, Ji Bochang appeared. He came in acting like a savior. He bought out all of my shares for less than 30% of their value. Along with that nearly completed project, I went from being a multi-millionaire to a poor man buried in debt. Wang Weiguo's story was so similar to everything I was experiencing, only his ending was far more tragic. Wang Weiguo took out a thick stack of documents from his briefcase. He said, for years, I've been collecting evidence of his crimes. This man, Ji Bochang, is ruthless, but he's overly confident. Many of his shady deals left a paper trail. They were all conducted through a shell company registered overseas. He thought no one would ever know. But the man who handled all of this for him back then is now my mole, planted right by his side. Here is proof of his tax evasion and records of his illegal transfer of assets. There's also his bribery of government officials. Any one of these is enough to ensure he never recovers. As I looked at the file, my breathing became heavy. This wasn't just a file. This was clearly a sharp blade. One that could bring Ji Bochang to his doom. I asked Chairman Wang urgently. Chairman Wang, if you have all this, why didn't you report him? Wang Weiguo shook his head bitterly and replied, it's no use. I've tried, but Ji Bochang's network is too powerful. I'm just a bankrupt old man. I can't make any waves at all. I submitted these materials, but they just vanished without a trace. He finished speaking, then looked up at me, his eyes burning, and said, but you're different. You're backed by the airport project and China Southern Airlines. You have a level of public attention that they lack, an influence they cannot ignore. In my hands, this blade is just a piece of scrap iron. But in your hands, it might just be able to sever the evil dragon's head. I took the heavy stack of documents. My hands were trembling slightly. I understood. Wang Weiguo hadn't come to ask for my help. He had come to entrust me with his hope for revenge. Just then, Qin Shou gave me a call. I already know about the water shut-off. I just spoke with the city leadership. The mayor is furious and is personally looking into this matter. Rest assured, the water and power will be back to normal in half an hour at most. Also, the Municipal Disciplinary Committee's investigation team has already entered Anning Town. The first person they're summoning is Zheng Daqin. I clutched the documents in my hand. Listening to Qin Shou's voice on the phone, 100 emotions flooded my heart. I knew the time for a counterattack had come. I lifted my head, my gaze firm, and I made a solemn promise. I'll take up this sword. I promise you, justice may be delayed. But it was never late. News of the Municipal Discipline Inspection Commission's investigation team arriving in Anning Town spread faster than a water shut-off notice. Zheng Daqin was called in and questioned for 5 whole hours. When he came out, that once arrogant official air of his was completely gone. Half an hour later, from the faucets at my construction site, clear tap water started flowing again. That night, I locked myself in my office and went over the file Wang Weiguo had given me again and again. Ji Bochang's crimes were far more shocking than I had ever imagined. Tax evasion, illegal asset transfers, bribery, every single charge was enough to put him behind bars for life. But I knew just handing this file to the commission wasn't enough. Ji Bochang's roots ran too deep, his network of connections was too complex. I had to find a way to pin him down so he couldn't struggle, a way that was irrefutable. And finish him for good. So, I called Su Wan. I said, Su Wan, I need you to help me contact someone who is absolutely reliable and has enough influence in the provincial media. Su Wan understood my intentions immediately. She asked, you want to blow this whole thing wide open? I looked out the window. Zheng Daqin's office building was pitch black against the night sky. I answered, number. I'm going to put him on trial. A producer from the provincial TV's Focus Investigation Program is a senior of mine from college. He's an upright man. He despises the corruption in the capital market. His program is the highest-rated investigative journalism show in the entire province. Anyone they target ends up either finished or completely ruined. I said with conviction, he's the one. I pulled a single page from that thick file. It was a clear record of Ji Bochang manipulating stock prices through an overseas shell company and illegally profiting nearly 100 million yuan. 25. I didn't show all my cards. 25. To deal with an old fox like Ji Bochang, you have to be like peeling an onion. Peel off his disguise layer by layer, and make him feel that endless torture and fear. I sent this file to that producer via an encrypted email. I didn't sign my name. I just wrote a single sentence at the end of the email. This is just the beginning. 2 days later, the provincial station's Focus investigation aired right on schedule. The title of this episode was incredibly provocative. The 10 billion yuan dark money scheme, Ji Bochang's secret financial empire. Through detailed data and interviews with anonymous experts, The program meticulously unraveled the evidence I had provided, presenting it clearly to the public. The host asked in an icy tone, our capital market. Why has it become a personal, lawless ATM for certain people? And our regulatory system, why does it turn a blind eye to such illegal activities? I knew this was the beginning of the end for Ji Bo-chong. That night, Wayuu Capital's official website was crashed by furious investors. The next day, Wayuu Capital's stock plummeted to its daily limit the moment the market opened. A massive waterfall of sell orders blocked any chance of escape. Ji Bo-chang's phone was blowing up. Calls questioning him, cursing him, announcing divestments, demanding to break contracts. The business empire he had painstakingly built over many years began to show signs of collapse after just one weekend, and the last straw that broke the camel's back came from Anning Town. On the third day of being held in isolation for investigation, Jung Da-chin finally broke under the pressure. He gave up Ji Bo-chong. He confessed everything, including how he conspired with him to seize my land, how many benefits he'd received from Ji Bo-chong, and how much dirty work he had done for him. The investigation team quickly confirmed everything. That Anning Airport Service Company he opened with Ji Bo-chang's younger brother. It ended up making a fortune before being officially handed over to the authorities. At night, the gas station had already closed early. The workers had all returned to their dorms. I had to check the accounts for a new batch of decoration materials. So I stayed behind in the office. Uncle Zhao was worried about me being all alone. So he stayed behind with me. Looking at the pouring rain outside, Uncle Zhao said with concern. Aching, this weather, something's not right. I'm afraid something bad is going to happen. I also felt an inexplicable sense of anxiety. Just then, the office door was violently thrown open, and a security guard on night duty burst in. He shouted in terror, Boss. Captain Zhao, it's bad. A group of people showed up. They're all armed, they're smashing everything in sight, and they're attacking anyone they see. We can't stop them. Hearing this, Uncle Zhao shot to his feet. He grabbed a shovel from the corner and cursed, he really dares to come here looking to die. My heart sank, but I quickly calmed myself down. I ordered, Uncle Zhao, call the police. The security guard stammered, it's too late. They smashed all of our phones. It looks like they want to destroy the entire construction site. I realized immediately, Ji Bo-chong was serious this time. These weren't street thugs. They were professional goons. Their goal was to cause the maximum amount of damage, to trigger the most serious safety incident. Once the site is destroyed or someone gets killed, my hotel project would be doomed beyond recovery. I made a split-second decision and said, Uncle Zhao, you take some men and guard the main gate. Don't fight them head-on. Just stall them. King, what about you? I'm going to find reinforcements. I went outside and heard, from the direction of the hotel building, the piercing sounds of smashing and arrogant curses. A dozen or so shadowy figures were holding machetes and iron bars, and were frantically destroying the glass curtain wall I had just installed. Suddenly, a pair of blinding headlights lit up from behind me. A black, unlicensed van was speeding right toward me. They were trying to run me over and kill me. My mind went completely blank. In a flash, Foreman Zhang lunged from the side and shoved me out of the way. Boss, run. Foreman Zhang's body, like a broken sack, was sent flying by the impact. The van didn't even pause. It just kept accelerating and disappeared into the rainy night. I screamed my lungs out and scrambled over to his side. Brother Zhang, he looked at me weakly, but he was still smiling at me. Go, quick. My tears mixed with the rain, blurring my vision. I can't leave. If I leave, what will happen to Uncle Zhao and the others? If I leave, Brother Zhang's blood will have been shed in vain. A wave of rage and killing intent I had never felt before surged up wildly from the bottom of my heart. I lifted my head and looked at the thugs who were still smashing things. My gaze was as cold as the ice of Antarctica. I didn't get into my own car. I turned around. I ran toward the idle bulldozer in the corner of the construction site. Foreman Zhang had taught me how to operate this beast before. I started it up. The steel behemoth awakened in the rainy night, let out a deafening roar. All the thugs were startled by the sudden boom. I drove the bulldozer, slowly, but rolled forward with an irresistible force. One of the thugs screamed in terror, he's crazy. He's a psycho. Terrified, they all scattered and ran for their lives. I didn't go after them. Just then, a dozen police cars, their red and blue lights flashing, pierced the rainy night and came screaming to a halt. Qin Shou and Su Wan jumped out of the first car. They saw Foreman Zhang lying in a pool of blood and the utter chaos all around. They also saw me, sitting in the cab of the bulldozer. Su Wan ran up to the cab. Her voice was trembling. Ching, are you okay? Please, get down from there. I jumped down from the high cab, falling heavily into her arms. Su Wan, they were trying to kill me. Su Wan held me tight, her voice choked with emotion. I know. It's okay now. It's all over, but I knew it wasn't. From this night on, the war between me and Ji Bo-chong would only end when one of us was dead. Foreman Zhang was taken to the best hospital in the city. The doctors said he had lost too much blood. His left leg was fractured and he needed surgery immediately. But his life wasn't in danger. I waited in the hospital corridor. The image of Foreman Zhang being sent flying by the impact replayed over and over in my mind. Su Wan took off her jacket and put it around my shoulders, while Chin Shou was on the side, constantly making calls. Manager Chen Mo found out, too. He used his connections at Nanong to put pressure on the provincial authorities. He demanded a thorough investigation and that the perpetrators be severely punished. Ji Bocheng's heavy blow had cost me dearly. But it also shattered all the rules and unspoken agreements. He had made an enemy of everyone. The police launched an operation that very night. The dozen or so thugs who caused the destruction were quickly caught at the various checkpoints leading out of the city. The unlicensed van that hit Foreman Zhang was also found in an abandoned quarry. The interrogation went surprisingly smoothly. Faced with concrete evidence and immense pressure, these desperados quickly gave up their employer, Ji Bocheng's most trusted assistant, the one who carried out all of his dirty work. When the police showed up at his door, that assistant chose to commit suicide to escape punishment. He thought that would be the end of it. He seriously underestimated me, and the files Wang Weiguo had given me. I went to Su Wan and Chin Shou and said, Su Wan, help me get in touch with the producer from Focus Report. Chin Shou, arrange a meeting for me with the head of the Municipal Disciplinary Committee. The next morning, I made 2 copies of the complete file Wang Weiguo had given me. I personally delivered 1 copy to the provincial television station's Focus Report team. I gave the other to the head of the Municipal Disciplinary Committee. And just like that, a storm sweeping the entire province, an anti-corruption firestorm in both the financial and political worlds, had begun. The Focus Report team spent a week producing a special, 1-hour-long expose. Soon, Ji Bocheng's network of protectors was dismantled, and he lost all of his cover. The tax authorities, the Securities Commission, and the Public Security Bureau all came at once. All of Ji Bocheng's assets were frozen. Huayu Capital was completely shut down. The once mighty capital empire collapsed and turned to dust in just a few short days. After the dust settled, everyone who had helped me came. I looked at the bustling scene of Anning International Airport in the distance, which was now officially open. I didn't give a passionate speech, I just took a deep bow. Thank you, everyone. Above the clouds, there is me, and there is also all of you. The top floor of the hotel was still the same observation deck, only now it had become the most expensive and most beautiful view in all of Anning Town. Su Wan came over and handed me a glass of champagne. She smiled and teased me, looking like a successful man now. King, did you know? What you've done is more than just build a hotel. You've changed this place. And you've changed so many people. I smiled, looking at my brightly lit hotel, bustling with guests. I knew that the abandoned orphan had finally found a place to call his own. Ji Bocheng's successor was a middle-aged official parachuted in from the city, named Zhao Fuming. As a representative for young entrepreneurs, I attended a seminar on the future development plan for Anning Town. The meeting lasted the entire morning. Zhao Fuming praised me generously during it. Mr. Fu's Cloud's End Hotel has gotten us off to a great start. He proved that here, on the soil of Anning Town, as long as you have vision and courage, you can definitely bear world-class fruit. All of our future plans must look to the Cloud's End Hotel as the benchmark. We want to turn this place into a hotbed for investment, a home where all talented people are willing to stay. When the meeting ended, Zhao Fuming shook my hand and said sincerely, Mr. Fu, the town wronged you in the past. In the future, the town will need your leadership. If there's anything you need help with, just say the word. We will give you our full support. I saw the light shining in his eyes. I knew that spring had truly come to Anning Town. The hotel's business was booming. Besides Southern Airlines, crews from other airlines also started coming, drawn by our reputation, seeking to partner with us. Various business conferences and industry forums also chose to hold their events at my hotel. Having a meeting at Cloud's End became a new trend in the city's business community, and the gas station I built myself was not forgotten. I upgraded and renovated it, turning it into a semi-open air food court. It still kept its affordable prices and its down-to-earth vibe. It became the favorite late-night spot for airport ground staff and local residents. Uncle Zhao was officially hired by me as the director of the hotel's engineering department, responsible for the maintenance and management of all facilities. He and his men became the technical backbone in their respective positions. Every one of them put on brand new uniforms, becoming official employees of a 5-star hotel. Wang Weiguo also came to see me. The moment he saw me, he gave me a deep bow. Mr. Fu, thank you. You're the one who gave me a second chance. I quickly helped him up. Uncle Wang, you're being too kind. I just did what I was supposed to do. It was the knife you gave me that gave me the chance to cut through the darkness. He told me he was planning to use the money he got back to start a legal aid fund, specifically to help entrepreneurs like him and me, who have been bullied by corporations. He patted my shoulder and said with relief, I can't fight them anymore, but from now on, this world ultimately belongs to you all. I saw him off from the hotel, watching his back, no longer stooped but straight again, disappear into the crowd. I knew an old era had come to an end. The hotel's operations were all in perfect order. I finally had some time for myself. The first thing I did was move Foreman Zhang from a regular ward to the city hospital's best VIP rehabilitation center. I would cover all the expenses. When I went to see him, he was lying in his hospital bed. When he saw me, he got so excited he almost sat up, saying, Boss Fu, what are you doing here? For a small injury like mine, there's no need for you to come all this way. I placed a bouquet of flowers by his bed and said, Brother Zhang, this is no small injury. You were risking your life for me. The doctor said, your leg is recovering well, but it still needs a long period of rehabilitation therapy. Just focus on getting better here. Don't worry about a thing. Your salary will be paid as usual, and I'll cover all your medical bills. This northern man, who never complains, choked up like a child and said, Boss Fu, for me, old Zhang, it was all worth it. I patted his shoulder and said, from now on, it's my turn to protect our home. After leaving the hospital, I received a call from Su Wan. The Cloud Hotel loan project that Su Wan was in charge of had made a huge splash at the head office. Not only did she avoid any disciplinary action, she was even given an exceptional promotion. She became the youngest branch manager in her bank's history. She said cheerfully over the phone, Director Fu, I'd like to treat you to a meal. Where would you like to go? Right here at your Cloud Hotel. In the presidential suite. That evening, I had the kitchen prepare the most exquisite dinner and had it sent up to the presidential suite on the top floor. It was a room I had reserved especially for Su Wan, never open to the public. From the room's terrace, you could overlook the entire night view of Airport New City. When Su Wan saw me arrive, she smiled at me and said, the view from your place is still the best. I laughed and said, of course, look whose territory this is. We didn't talk about work, nor did we talk about the thrilling past. We were just like two old friends who hadn't seen each other in a long time. Drinking tea and chatting about trivial things. Suddenly, she looked at me very seriously and said, Aching. Do you remember, when you decided to build the hotel? I told you that once you opened, you had to give me a presidential suite for life, free of charge. Hearing this, I nodded. I've fulfilled my promise now. Su Wan gave a self-deprecating laugh. Actually, she said, I was joking back then. Starting a hotel with 500,000, on ruins that everyone else was fleeing from. I didn't believe you could succeed at all. I helped you, only because I didn't want to see you lose too badly. I was even prepared to help you absorb some of the losses. I listened quietly, without saying a word. She continued, you took an impossible dream and made it a reality. You're much more impressive than I ever imagined. She stood up and walked over to me. So, I want to change my request today. I don't want your presidential suite anymore. I looked up at her face, which was just inches from mine. My heart started beating a little faster. Then what do you want? She didn't answer. She just slowly gave me a kiss. Then she hugged me, her voice trembling and a little hoarse as she said, Ah Ching. I want you. It's you I want. Tears started rolling down my face again without warning. I smiled and nodded firmly, saying, okay. That night, we talked a lot about our plans for the future. In the blink of an eye, it was the Anning International Airport's 2-year anniversary of operations, which was also the 2-year anniversary celebration for the Cloud's End Hotel. Business celebrities, government officials, and various leaders all gathered in one place. I was wearing a tailor-made black suit, with Su Wan on my arm. As we stood at the entrance of the banquet hall, greeting every arriving guest. Su Wan had officially resigned from the bank and become the CEO of the Cloud's End Group. She helped me handle all the complex business affairs, allowing me to focus more on the group's strategic development. Chin Shou came too. He was now the director of the Airport New City's management committee, making him the true leader of this new city. He saw me and said with a smile, Mr. Fu, you're the biggest god of wealth in our new city now. Chen Mo also flew in specially from Guangzhou. He was now the vice president of China Southern Airlines. The moment he saw me, he gave me a warm hug. Fu Qing, the most successful investment I've ever made in my life was the 1 million I gave you on that rooftop 2 years ago. Uncle Zhao and Foreman Zhang were also standing behind me. One was the director of the engineering department, and the other was the director of security. After the banquet began, as the host, I walked up to the main stage. 2 years ago, I stood here, and beneath my feet was nothing but ruins. I thought I had been abandoned by the whole world. But today, I stand here, and beneath my feet is the bustling heart of the entire Airport New City. What I want to say is, what determines our worth is never which side of the line we're drawn on, but where we choose to draw our own starting line. If the world abandons you, you can choose to win the world back. My speech was short, but it earned the loudest applause of the night. The banquet wasn't over yet, when I took Su Wan's hand, and we quietly slipped out. We changed into casual clothes and walked in the park like any ordinary couple. In the park, children were laughing and playing, and elderly people were strolling and exercising. I saw a familiar figure, Auntie Lee. She was playing on the slide with her little grandson. She saw me too, her expression a bit awkward and uneasy. You're a big boss now. Before, it was my fault for gossiping. Please don't take it to heart. I shook my head, showing I didn't mind. That was all in the past. Just then, his little grandson ran over. Looking at me curiously, Lee hurriedly said, he is the pride of our Xincheng, the vice president of the Cloud Hotel. When you grow up, you have to be successful, just like Uncle Fu. I smiled. I took a piece of candy from my pocket and handed it to the child. We continued walking until we arrived at the old site where my family home used to be. Now, the area has become part of the hotel, a beautiful, open-air garden. Soo-won and I were snuggled together on a garden bench. In the distance, a huge passenger plane was slowly landing on the runway, its lights streaking across the night sky like a shooting star. Soo-won suddenly asked, "Hey Ching, have you ever had any regrets?" I watched the plane land smoothly.